Hi, I'm Dr. Millie Hinkle with Camel Milk USA. Today I wanted to go over some emails that we've received in the last couple of years. Some of them are emails we receive over and over, and try to answer some questions that some of you may have about the camel milk. So let's jump right in with the first question. My autistic child has been tested and does not have a dairy allergy, but when I gave him the camel milk, he became very hyperactive. Why? Your child has a histamine intolerance to the camel milk. If he is not positive for a casein allergy, he's probably HIT, which is a histamine intolerance. So you're going to have to stop giving him the camel milk. And you don't want to switch to the kefir because fermented foods are much worse for HIT. So you're going to have to stop giving him that camel milk and look towards doing some other therapies. One thing we've seen with HIT patients that has worked really well in my practice, and we're using it with a lot of autistic children now, and we're seeing amazing results, is using raw cabbage juice. Now, we're not talking about fermented cabbage juice. We're talking about taking a cabbage that is organic and juicing it and giving the children a specific amount of that each day, or a patient that has Crohn's or irritable bowel or any gut issue. It helps heal a leaky gut. It's great with probiotics and vitamins and minerals. So it's very sweet tasting. The children love it. So I would suggest trying that. If you've got questions about it, then contact our office and set up a consultation. So next question. Where can I get colostrum for my autistic child? I'm going to say this, and I said it before. I ask you, if you've got an autistic child, please do not ask the dairies for colostrum for two reasons. Number one, we've tested autistic children over and over, and they do not test well for the colostrum. They don't need it. And we've only had one or two children out of the thousands that I've tested over the years that showed any need for the colostrum, and they only needed one dosage. So we do have a desperate need with cancer patients for that colostrum. So please leave that colostrum with the dairies for our cancer patients because they desperately need it and we don't have enough colostrum. The camel milk I ordered from a dairy recently is not the same as it was last spring. What is the problem? Do I need to stop the milk? Well, I noticed that this email was dated this past January, which is a winter time. So in the United States, our camel are ending their milking seasons or cycles in January and December. The milk is more stringy and watery. There's nothing wrong with the milk, but the best milk is going to be in the spring and the summer when the camels are having babies and have high levels of antioxidants, antibodies, and immunoglobulins in that milk. But there's nothing wrong with the milk. It's just that the camels are ending their milking cycle. My 8-year-old autistic child was doing great on camel milk, but now that he has been taking it for 6 months, he seems to be getting worse. Again, I give him 2 8-ounce glasses of camel milk per day, and he loves it. Is there something wrong with the milk? No. What you're doing is you're giving your child too much milk. If he's 8 years old, we don't give children that much milk on a continuous level. What we do is we start out with a gradual dose of milk and we up that dosage over a period of days and weeks. And then we reach a plateau. Sometimes we'll go above that plateau for a short period of time, but then we drop back down to a specific plateau to keep those children on. If you take them too high, they're going to develop symptoms. They're going to become constipated. They're going to get more hyperactive. So you're going to have to stop for 72 hours and bring them back down to a normal level if you've had them on the camel milk for an extended period of time. My child has been constipated on the camel milk. Why is this happening? Well, first of all, I would say for you to check your child's iron levels because camel milk is high in iron and that will cause constipation. And you would need to check his iron levels. And you may be giving him too much milk. So if that's the case, you want to reduce the dosage. And we just discussed what the correct dosage would be for a child. Is camel milk good for Alzheimer's patients? Yes. We've seen amazing results with Parkinson's, dementia, and Alzheimer's patients on the camel milk. But it's very hard for us to work with those patients because many of them are in lock and key facilities where we're not being able to see them on a daily basis and their diet is not being able to be managed by a family member. So, in our practice, when we see these patients, we've seen amazing results, but it involves diet and testing for heavy metals and nutritional deficiencies and exercise and a whole host of things. But the camel milk, because it does cross the brain barrier and the cell barrier, those antibodies we have seen amazing results with those patients. Where do I get the super camel milk that you have developed? I developed the highest super antioxidant milk for camel in the world by giving them a specific plant source to do that. And within 4 weeks, we had doubled the antioxidant immunoglobulins in that milk. So what I'm trying to do is get that milk developed for cancer patients, for patients with autoimmune disorders, because it would be like jet rocket fuel to those bodies and those immune systems. But we have not done that because I need funding and I need dairies to work with to get that milk put out and produced. So we're looking for anyone interested to participate in that. My mother has cancer. I read that camel milk is good for cancer. What about the camel urine? Well, that's debatable. First of all, camel urine can become cytotoxic. So we don't want you to be doing camel urine unless you're under the care of a physician. So in my practice, if you're not directly in my practice, you would need to be working with your medical doctor, and there are very few medical doctors that are going in the United States that are going to agree to this type of therapy. And quite frankly, when we test people, they really don't test well with cancer for the camel urine. What they test well for is the camel colostrum, and that is what they need. And there is a protocol for that. There's a specific ratio of the colostrum to the camel milk that the patient needs to take. So we want to work with patients to make sure that they get that right dosage. I read that camel milk is good for type 2 diabetes. Is it good for type 1? And can it cure type 1 diabetes? Several years ago, I would have said the answer to that is no, that it definitely helps it, but it has not been shown to cure it. But now that I can actually say that, yes, we have had quite a few cases now of type 1 diabetes not being reversed, not being put into remission, but cured. There was a major study done in another country where they took 200 and some type 1 diabetics of all stages, young and old, and they put them on a specific diet with a very low caloric intake and an over-the-counter nutritional drink daily. What I've done with patients in my office is I have substituted that drink for the camel milk because the camel milk is a complete nutritional food. It has all the vitamins, minerals, amino acids that you need in that milk. And we have put that with specific diet protocols. And we have seen these patients have their diabetes reversed. Now, it is going to be 3 months to 5 months is what the study's shown. In our practice, we've seen one patient take at least 6 months. So if you're interested in learning more about this, if you want to be a patient and go through this with us, you're more than welcome to set up a consultation through the office. I have Crohn's disease. Will camel milk cure Crohn's disease? Well, Crohn's disease is an inherited genetic illness. It absolutely can stop the symptoms of Crohn's disease, and we've seen it over and over. But Crohn's disease involves a lot of things, special diet and healing the gut and exercise and avoiding foods that can cause problems. But some Crohn's patients actually have casein and dairy problems. So for those patients, we've switched and we've started using raw organic cabbage juice. And we've seen amazing results with the Crohn's patients with that. Now, again, we have to work with the diet and the other allergies that this patient may have. But the camel's milk, if you do not have a casein allergy, you should do very well with your gut issues on Crohn's disease. I'm so confused. I saw on the internet that pasteurized and freeze-dried camel milk are as good as the raw. Is this correct? Absolutely not. Don't believe everything that you see on the internet from someone trying to sell you milk. They're not a doctor. They're not seeing patients like I am every single day of the week, including Sundays in my office. The antibodies and the immunoglobulins when milk is pasteurized are reduced, as well as B vitamin levels. So in a raw milk, they are not. So what we're trying to do is to get the laws changed in the United States to make raw milk more available to more people. So is there anything wrong with the pasteurized? If you have a dairy allergy, say, to lactose? No, because it lowers the lactose levels, and that would be a good milk for you. But if you're using it for cancer or an autoimmune disorder, you would want to go with the raw. Where do I buy organic camel milk in the United States? Well, at the present, we don't have any organic dairies in the United States. And this is a concern for me. And the reason is we're getting emails and calls from around the world that the milk in countries around the world is showing levels of contamination, from radiation in China and Russia to pesticides in China and the Middle East and African countries. There are elevated levels of pesticides, and now I'm asking this year to get funding to try to get the camel milk in the United States tested for pesticide residue. We're very careful about what we feed our camel here. We don't feed them GMO products, but we do not feed them organic camel feed because it is so expensive. But we do need organic camel dairy here in the United States. The milk will be more expensive, but this is what we need. Roundup in the United States, which is an herbicide, is all grains pretty much, and hays and seeds are treated with it before they're planted. So we're finding that residue in all of our cereals in the United States in very high levels. And so we're worried that this is going to show up in the feed and in the camel's milk. So I want the camel's milk tested for that specific reason. At this point in time, though, we are not having problems that we know of, but we again have not tested it for pesticide residue. Is camel milk good for cats and dogs? Yes, I've had articles written about my work in Bark Magazine and Animal Wellness Magazine in the past, where I've done studies with cats and dogs with cancer and autoimmune disorders. We've seen amazing results. We had a picture of a cat sent to us that had an autoimmune disorder and had absolutely no hair. Within 8 weeks, her hair was long and beautiful. So we see that. We worked with a veterinarian in Texas who had a horse he was going to have to put down because it had a hairline fracture in one of its legs. We worked with that vet where he soaked that horse's leg in camel milk for a period of time, and that healed completely. And we have seen great reports about dogs and cats with cancer and the camel's milk. And now we're seeing dog breeders with show dogs and people that breed dogs that are putting the puppies on the camel milk because their breeders are telling us that they are much healthier, stronger, much more luxurious coat of hair on those puppies that consume that camel milk. I had a phone consultation with you, and it was really worth it. It changed my autistic child's life and made her so much better. I was adding and doing so many things wrong, but I forgot to ask, does my child need to take camel milk forever? No, she does not. When we work with autistic children and we look at the heavy metal levels and the other things affecting these children, and we get their guts stabilized and we get the levels of the heavy metals down to a reasonable level, we usually keep those children on that camel milk another 6 months. After that, they can be weaned off of that milk, and they do not need to continue on the milk unless they just want to drink the milk. It has been 10 years ago this year that I had the laws changed in the United States to allow for the sale of camel milk. What I'm wanting now is to have the laws changed again to allow for camel milk to be classified and sold as a medicinal milk. It is illegal for any raw milk to be shipped across any state line. But because the raw camel milk is most valuable and most potent in its raw stages, that is the way we need it for the medical purposes that we're needing it for these patients. So I'm asking for people for funding, whether it's $1, $5, $1,000, whatever, and for emails and calls and petitions and help and volunteers to get the law changed. I want to lobby congressmen and senators to have camel milk declared a medicinal milk and allow that to be sold raw across and shipped across state lines. Now, the way that this can be done is for a doctor to write a prescription approving that for his patient. And then this is the way we want to look at this, as being available through a doctor's prescription. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you about this issue, and we want to work with autistic parents, with cancer patients, with diabetics, with anyone who will be willing to join this cause, because this is a way to get it changed. If we go with the NCIMS, and the FDA, we're looking at years. We need to get this done as rapidly as possible. And changing the laws through Congress is going to be the best way for us, I think, at this time. So we're looking for help, and please feel free to contact us at 919-561-1545. Thank you.